Welcome to this quick video on do pastel pencils smudge? So we're just going to get straight into it and answer the question for you. So in terms of do they smudge together? Yes, they certainly do. So let's have a quick look at that. So we've got some Faber Castell pencils here. And then for comparison, I've also got the Caran D'Ache. Just quickly, Faber Castell, I use these pencils most. They're a really good all-round pencil for both your underpainting, which you can find out about more in links below, and for adding details. Caran D'Ache, these are a pricier pencil. They have quite a lot more pigment in them, and they're a lot softer too. So they're a little bit more akin to like the pastel blocks, which you might have used before. So let's have a look at how a pastel pencil can smudge and how we might be able to smudge one into the other, which obviously is a type of blending. So I've got here the 153. This is a really lovely colour. And I'm just going to put a few layers down. Now I am pressing quite hard. I'm covering the tooth, which is the grain. I'm covering that so that we can't see any of the colour of the card showing through. Now what you should also be able to see, and I'll just hold this up a little bit closer to the camera, is that there is some dust on there. So you can see how much pastel I've actually put down. So if I just blow that off. Now, if I take my finger over this pastel, I'm just going to try and push or smudge it, and you can see it smudges fairly well. It doesn't smudge as much as something like a block of pastel, which I'll show you in a moment, but it does smudge fairly well. So if I then put another colour down next to it, and again, I'm pressing fairly hard, I've got a little bit of dust on there, so a bit of loose pastel, then I can use my finger to smudge or blend them together. Now this isn't something that you'd actually see me do very often. I find you get a much better result if you use the two pencils to put light layers over the top of each other until the different colours meet in the middle. So I'll just quickly show you that. So I put my layers of colour down. And then not pressing quite so hard, and moving in long oval motions, I'm heading backwards and forth over that joining line. So not as much pressure, swirling the pencil. You can see there's quite a bit of dust forming, which is really helpful. It'll help us mix these together. And I think one more pass with this pencil. Blow off the excess, and you've got a really nice, that's more of a blend, but you've got a nice transition. Obviously, there is quite a lot of pastel down, so if you then to take your finger over that, you would be able to smudge it further. Now, if we have a quick look at the other brand that I have here, we have the Caran D'Ache, and these are, as I said, a very soft pencil. They're quite expensive. They are usually beautiful in the amount of colour that they put down. So I don't need to actually put as much pressure through this brand of pencil because it's so soft. But for comparison, there's some dust down. And again, I'm not actually putting a lot of pressure through my finger, I'm more helping it mix. That has smudged or blended quite nicely. And if we try with this pastel pencil, absolutely amazing colour. And again, you can see that these smudge really nicely. They're a very soft pastel. In fact, they are smudging as I would have hoped. They're smudging better than the Faber Castell because we're starting to lose the edge of where we've coloured in with that pencil. Again, these two will blend together nice and easily. So if I just quickly give you a little swatch of that, we will then look at how you can prevent your work smudging too. So then not pressing quite so hard, heading over that joining line and encouraging the two different tones, different colours to mix together. Probably have to do a bit more smudging with this pencil because it's lighter. The other pencil has got more pigment and will keep soiling that colour. This pigment is much stronger, it's got a stronger tinting strength. Blow off that dust, and we've got quite a nice transition from one to the other there. So if we have a quick look at how these compare to pastel blocks, just grabbed here some of my Unison pastels, which are absolutely lovely. And I'm just, again, going to put a little swatch down. Now you need next to no pressure for this to show up. And smudge that in with your finger. So I haven't got any loose pastel down yet, that's just one nice light layer. And you can see already we've created a nice haze. Whereas if I press a bit harder so that I get some dust like we did with the pastel pencils, it starts to smudge much further. Now you might be looking at all of these and thinking, I thought they'd smudge more than that. The reason that they're not doing is the card I'm working on. I'm working on the Calirefontaine pastelmat card. If I was to work on the pastelmat paper, these would smudge a little bit more, but they still won't smudge half so much as if you were using any other type of standard pastel paper. This paper is specifically designed for your pastel work to retain the detail and try and retain the original marks you make, which is really great. It reduces the amount of smudging that occurs in your work, which if like me, you're a realist artist, you don't want your details to be smudging on top. Now, if you don't want your work to be smudging and you're struggling with this happening as you're working on the rest of your piece and you're dragging your hand through it, what you need is some crystal paper. So this is the crystal paper. It almost looks like grease-proof paper, but it's designed for artists. It's designed for this use so that you can rest it on top of your work. Even if you haven't sprayed it, you can rest your hand on top of it and colour in. And you'll find that when you lift it up, you don't have any residue on the paper. It doesn't smudge it. So if you've got a finished drawing, finished painting, you want to take some crystal paper, lay it over the top and use some low tack artist tape, and that will stop your work smudging. So in short, yes, pastel pencils do smudge. It depends what paper you're using, depends how many layers you've put down. It can also depend on the brand of your pencils, but if you don't want them to smudge, then get yourself some crystal paper and that will really help you. Just a quick note that if you are working on a Calirefontaine Pastelmat card or paper, I wouldn't spray this with a fixative. What I've found can happen if you spray the card or paper with a fixative, you can end up with a mottled effect. It can actually ruin your drawing, and I have used some high quality fixatives when I've been trying this out. This paper is designed to grab hold of your work, so you shouldn't need to do that, and you should get away with being able to hang it, double mount, and your work will not be smudged. So I hope that has answered your question. I hope that's helped you. And if you have any more questions, if you'd like to see another video on something to do with pastel pencils, then please comment below. Until next time, happy drawing.